Hey everyone, today I'm going to do a video on how I got my outdoor barn cats to like me and how you can too. So I live in the country and there are a lot of outdoor cats around here. I have 4 outdoor cats and 2 of them I would say are closer to, they were feral. They were born from feral mothers. So the moms were very standoffish. So the moms did not let you pet them or get near them. They would run away. And this is kind of typical for outdoor cats. But as you can see from the video, all of my cats are fairly friendly. They lounge around. They let you pet them, come up to them. They come up to me now and they lay on my lap unprompted. And so I wanted to share how I got my outdoor cats to do this. These are kittens at this point. They're probably between like 4 and 6 months old. So they're still young, which probably helped me. But I think you can do this probably with any outdoor cats, even if they're older. It just might take more time. So the first suggestion I have is obviously you need to be feeding these cats. A lot of my neighbors have outdoor cats, like 20 or 30 of them. And they feed them every morning and every night, but they're totally feral. If you try to go near them and touch them, they'll run off. But feeding them is the right way to start at least building some trust. They won't be afraid of you being nearby, but they still might not be comfortable with you touching them. One thing that could help here is while you're feeding them, you could try to sit right next to the bowl. So they have to be like right next to you while you're feeding them. It kind of forces them to get comfortable with you. If they want food, they gotta be okay with you being right there. But still, I would say that's probably not enough to get your feral cats to like being around you, to like laying on your lap, to like being pet. That'll get them used to you. So that's a good first step. Obviously, you have to feed them. Sitting near them while you feed them instead of just going inside or leaving them alone will help them get used to your presence. The next thing, this is really what I think helped me with my feral cats, with my outdoor cats, is when you first get them, if possible, one of the things you should try to do is outdoor cats have kind of like a GPS, and the way to recalibrate the GPS so that they stay near your home or near wherever you're trying to keep them is to keep them in a cage for about a week, wherever you want them to kind of home in on. So when I got my outdoor cats, I kept them in a cage on my back patio, which is mostly what you're seeing in these videos here. I kept them in a cage there, obviously with fresh food, water, and bedding, and I kept them there for about a week so that they would stick around. And during that week, when I first got a hold of them, I would come outside at night, every night, and I would spend maybe 30 minutes with each one. I would take one out of the cage, keep the rest in the cage, take one out of the cage, and I would hold it in my lap and pet it. And at the beginning, they did not like this. I mean, these were kittens some of them were not held and played with a whole lot, and some of them had a little bit more experience with that. But they were kind of not interested in being held. They didn't want to be on your lap. And I would just hold on to them and pet them for 15, 20, 30 minutes at a time. Then put them back, take the next cat out, do the same thing. And over the course of that 1 week of doing that, their whole temperament changed entirely. The cats would go from being very standoffish to kind of like wanting to be in my lap. The key here really is consistency. Like when you first get your cats and you're keeping them in a cage to rezone their GPS, you have to spend quality time with them, and you have to spend quite a bit of time. Maybe read a book or something and stay near them, hold them. If they seem to be very standoffish to the point where maybe they're a bit aggressive, then you might have to keep them in the cage and sit out there while they're in the cage and read a book for like an hour or two every night. Literally just sit there and sit right next to their cage, and they'll have to get used to you. just by nature of you being there. So it's going to take a lot of time. If it's cold outside, then even better. I got these outdoor cats when it was really cold, and I would come outside with a big jacket on, and I would take them out of their cage, and I would hold them in my jacket, and they would kind of like that. Even if they didn't like me, they would like that because it's much warmer inside my jacket than where they were hanging out previously. And so that kind of gets them to like you too. So obviously quality time is a big deal here. So yeah, to kind of recap the two things is obviously feeding them is very important. Spending a ton of time with them is probably the most important thing you can do. Giving them treats obviously is a good idea. They are going to like you more for that. That's kind of simple stuff. A third thing I would suggest is that you need to give them an environment that's relaxed and is predictable, at least for the beginning when you're trying to get them to like you. One thing I noticed with one of my cats is I have some dogs, and when the dogs would come outside and would kind of run outside very excitedly, this cat would just disappear. She would run away really quickly, very afraid. And that's because the dogs are just super unpredictable. Dogs are obviously pretty scary. Most outdoor feral cats are going to try to keep away from dogs. And so having this like kind of unpredictable environment where the cat's worried that the dog is going to run outside and make a lot of noise and maybe chase her is going to make the cat less interested in sticking around and just hanging out at your place. And that's kind of what you want. You want them to be comfortable sticking around, hanging out. So you want to be keeping them in a relaxed environment, somewhere where
are hungry.
You're not making a lot of loud, sudden noises or movements. You don't want dogs running around, barking near them. That's going to make them a little bit more standoffish, a little bit more afraid of you.
Oh my God.
When I look online about how to get cats to like you, it often says do not force them to interact with you, make them come up to you. And I really do not think this works very well for like outdoor feral cats. If you spend hours and hours sitting near them, they might get comfortable with your presence, but they might not necessarily start wanting to come up to you for attention. You kind of have to break that divide yourself and start holding them and petting them for long periods of time for them to get used to you. That's my opinion, at least. It seems like the internet disagrees, but I don't think maybe for an indoor cat that's a little bit more standoffish, you're going to be able to take that approach where you just wait for them to become comfortable with you. But for an outdoor cat where they have options of where to be, they're probably not going to want to hang out with you unless you really just start holding them consistently, petting them, and feeding them while you're around. Finally, one other thing you can do, obviously playing with them is going to make them like you. You can just use your fingers and kind of like make really fast movements around, and they'll want to chase your hands. This is probably something they'll do only if they're pretty comfortable with you already, but they're going to like being around you more the more you do stuff like that. I think the bread and butter, though, is that you really need to spend time with your outdoor cats. Sit near them, spend time sitting near them until they're not totally afraid of you, and then start holding them. Just hold them constantly. And I find that mine follow me around wherever I go on my property, which is really nice. They're not really even feral cats anymore. They're just outdoor friendly cats. So yeah, those are my suggestions.